Hi, Anna again. I wanted to do a video. I mean, I assume that if you're here, it's either because, I don't know, you stumbled upon it, or most probably you have someone in your life who is narcissistic, or you suspect is narcissistic. You're probably, I assume, in a fair amount of frustration and pain and anger and turmoil, or like there's just a lot of stuff, because dealing with someone who's got a personality disorder like this, especially if they're overt or malignant, is super painful. So if you're here, if you've landed here, you're going to hear, well, I want to talk about the symptoms of narcissistic personality from the inside out, like what it actually looked like and felt like over here with me when I was in full blown, and like when it was in high preen. So hopefully it'll help you or give you a little bit more added insight. So symptoms, I'm sure you already know this, and I might be able to give you another degree on the 360-degree view of this. People with narcissistic personality disorders have, no surprise, an exaggerated sense of self-importance. We think we're incredibly important because on the flip side, on the shadow side, the other side of that particular coin, we actually are terrified, have this deep-seated fear that we are a piece of shit and we're nothing because we were treated like that. So the persona that gets built is that we have an exaggerated sense of self-importance. We have a sense of entitlement and require constant, excessive admiration. I'll tell you a little story about this. I've been in recovery, as I said in my first video, that I've been in recovery for this for decades and decades and decades. And my sense of entitlement is actually the exact opposite at this point. But I haven't had that as a thing for a long time. But my boyfriend, I live with my boyfriend and I'm in a relationship with him. And when there was something when we first met, he was so valuable to me. There was something so important in my relationship with him that it triggered this particular part. And I started to behave in ways with him that were deeply entitled, like it just triggered this part. I was deeply entitled about him. I required constant, I was paying and entitled around how he should have been paying attention to me a certain way, and excessive admiration. What do you think about this? And what do you think? It was not good for the relationship. I had to really get knocked down a couple of pegs and come back to reality and have my adaptation not slapped out of me, but tongue lashing. He cared about me enough to actually tell me the truth, and I had enough self to actually be like, you're right, I've lost my mind and I'm sorry. So we also expect to be recognized as superior even without achievements that warrant it. Just think about the president that's in the White House right now currently. We exaggerate achievements and talents. Just think about the president that's in the White House right now currently. We are, and even if you love the man, he is a poster child for this particular disorder, especially overt, malignant, narcissistic personality disorder. Even if you love the man, you gotta sort of recognize that he's got some of these traits. People with narcissistic personality disorders, we are preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. So when I was in my full-blown NPD, I without even consciously thinking about it, I would walk into a room, any situation, it didn't matter where it was, I would walk into the room and I would suss out on some energetic, spidey sense way, who was the most beautiful, who was the most powerful, who was the most talented, who had the most attention coming to them, because I was interested in either aligning myself with them, topping them, or seeing how I could knock them down and be the person. I was constantly focused on that. I was just always focused on power and all of its forms. People who have NPD believe that we are superior. We believe that we're superior and can only associate with equally superior and special people. We monopolize conversations and belittle or look down on people that we perceive as inferior. We expect special favors and unquestioning compliance with our expectations. Again, think about this particular White House, or think about the people in your life who you work with or you live with or you're in relationship with. This is one that's like, we take advantage of others to get what we want. If you have an addict in your life, someone who is in active addiction, think about whether they are narcissistic, generally speaking, or just because they're an addict. That is how an addict is. We don't care about throwing anything or anyone under the bus in order to get what it is that we want. We just don't have the kind of care or thoughts or feelings for others that regular people do. Well, this is exactly what I was going to say. Have an inability or an unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. Of all of the traits of narcissistic personality disorder, this is the one that is the most hurtful, the most obvious, the most painful, in that those of us who love our person who has a personality adaptation, those of us who love them deeply, get deeply betrayed and hurt by their lack of empathy, compassion, ability to feel for us. There is an epidemic of non-compassion, inability to feel for another person. I'm lucky, and I do believe I'm lucky, in that I developed along the way, I've said this in the first video, effective empathy. And so I can actually feel for another person, but it is the ability to actually feel for another. Like, I believe personally that if there was anything I could change about the world, I would give everybody from when you're born into the world on, the ability to have deep-seated compassion for others. And that alone would just take care of 90-something% of the issues on the planet. So there's an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. It's just a lack of empathy and compassion. We are envious of others and believe others envy us. And so because we're constantly thinking about who's got more and who's got more power and more beauty and more whatever, is that we're always like, that person's got more. And, oh, that person envies us. That's the thinking. We can behave in an arrogant or haughty manner, coming across as conceited, boastful, or pretentious. And then we also insist on having the best of everything. For instance, the best car, the best office. And if we don't, then it's something that's a slight about us, because we're constantly afraid that we're nothing and we're worthless, because we don't want to go through the pain that we did when we were younger. At the same time, people with narcissistic personality disorders have trouble handling anything that even smacks a little bit of criticism. And we can become impatient, angry when we don't receive special treatment. We have significant interpersonal problems and easily feel slighted. If you've ever talked to anybody who is like, if you're ever in a relationship with someone like that, they dish out a lot of shit, but literally can't even stand the whiff of it for themselves. People with NPD react with rage or contempt, or try to belittle the other person to make themselves appear superior. Again, think about someone in the White House. We have difficulty regulating emotions and behaviors. There's nothing here. There's just been no training for how to actually, when we're enraged, to go, because also we don't have a stopgap that says this is a person who has feelings. They're a real person. There's none of that. It's black or white thinking. And so if I'm enraged and you are nothing, you are a toy, you are a thing, then I can throw you across the room the same way I would a toy. And that means with my words, with my fists, with a car. I will not relate to you as a person. And so there's difficulty regulating behavior. There's an experience of major problems dealing with stress and adapting to change. Change is terrifying. Most people with NPD are moody because they fall short of perfection. We're highly perfectionistic. I have had real breakthroughs personally in the past few years with my own perfectionism, where I used to think I was just like, I had to either be like the greatest thing that ever walked the face of the earth, or I was the biggest piece of shit that ever like lived and I didn't deserve to breathe. And I've had a huge breakthrough inside of that where I'm like, yeah, I did that great. Okay. I don't even think I'd be able to do these videos if I didn't have some like real genuine measure and breakthrough, and like I'm able to be a person and not do it perfectly. And then finally, we have secret feelings of insecurity, shame, vulnerability, and humiliation. I will talk about this more later on, but the biggest reason why narcissists attack you, devalue, and discard is because something has happened that has had them feel deeply humiliated and shame. Like, it's not normal humiliation or shame. It is a profound, all-encompassing, like, want to die. Why did you make me feel this? And now I have to kill you off because you're the reason why you made me feel this excruciating, impossible thing to be with. That's what happens. So a secret feeling, I don't know. There is a secret feeling of insecurity for sure, shame, vulnerability, and humiliation. And yes, it is secret, but that is why. And I will talk more about it, maybe at a later date. But next time I'm going to talk about other disorders like borderline and panic disorder. I hope this was interesting. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, bring them. Thanks.